Hello, everybody. I will try to introduction our study shortly. The title of our study, A Pandemic Pushed Rapprochement with E-Learning, a Dilemma Between Digital Addiction and Digital Conviction. Background to the study, the pandemic pushed emergency transition from on-site instruction to online options has brought about change in the way parents and educators assess digital environments. Before the COVID-19 pandemic, parents and teachers trying to distance children from social media and digital environments had to take the opposite stance to provide access to and attendance of e-learning sessions during the pandemic. This radical shift from on-site to online instruction posed enormous challenges to educators and parents. One of them is to track digital media consumption of school kids in terms of time and purposes.
Okay, but I can take the third one.
Okay.
This study is actually designed as a case study, as a qualitative case study. In the course of research, we came up with some emergent issues. One of them is this, what we called a reassessment of the engagement of kids, students, with digital media, digital technologies. So there was a radical shift from on-site to online instruction. And this posed enormous challenges for educators and parents. One of them is, in our opinion, that the digital media consumption time of school kids in terms of time and purposes should be followed strictly, because before the COVID-19 pandemic, parents and teachers were telling kids to be distanced from the technologies. They were spending too much time in social media engagements and other things using digital devices. But after the COVID-19, they started telling kids, go and sit down, join your online classes, follow your teacher's instruction. All needed to be a kind of relationship with the digital devices. So this is a kind of dilemma that we will be dealing with in the future, and a distinction should be made whether the kids are engaged in productive, actually e-learning activities, or they are wandering about toxic places in the internet. So actually the core, the focus of the study is this challenge to be tackled by educators, families, parents. So go ahead. Yeah, the stem of the problem. The driving force for this study has been this dilemma, as I've just explained you. The aim of this particular study, which emerged while conducting the big picture instrumental case study on digital divide, we were dealing with digital divide actually. Digital divide is, let me give you a brief definition of it. This term, digital divide, was first used by two people who were working for Los Angeles Times newspaper, Jonathan Weber and Amy Herman. It means that this is a kind of or any kind of disparity between the low-income students or low-income communities and high-income communities in terms of access and use of internet or digital media, there has been a gap since this term was coined first, and digital divide was first cited in two newspapers in the United States, one in 1996 and the other was in 2003 or 1999. So this digital divide has been widening as we witnessed during the COVID-19 processes, because most of the face-to-face learning activities were all transferred to online sites. So our ultimate purpose in this presentation is that we are trying to create a kind of awareness on the part of students, on the part of educators, that they should direct their attention for monitoring the students, the kids, while they are engaged in digital media. Go ahead, Baris. Actually, the phenomenon presented here is a snapshot of changing attitudes towards digital media engagements before and after the COVID-19 pandemic. It emerged, this concept has emerged as a byproduct of a separate digital divide research designed as an instrumental case study, as I've mentioned just a few moments ago. These are the participants' profile. We have three categories of participants from different socioeconomic status backgrounds: high, average, low, and you can see the numbers. I'm not going to give you the table line by line. Go ahead. In total, we have 10 participants for our digital divide research, and we collected data as usual, open-ended interview protocols, and there were 5 questions in our, there were 2 stages that I would like to mention. In the first stage, we have used a kind of preliminary data collection tool. Preliminary data collection tool is something that you administer to the audience, to your target participants, and based on the data, based on the information you gathered from them, you can decide on who to choose and who not to choose as the actual participant of your second stage, final stage research. So the interviews took 30 or 40 minutes, and naturally they were all over Zoom, conducted over Zoom. The finding that is, we have 3 or 4 tables. Is that right, Baris? One table. The major finding, I'm not going to read it line by line. The major finding of this study was either teachers or parents didn't know how to approach this changing attitude towards the digital media, whether they are going to tell the kids you should stay and keep doing whatever you have been doing with the digital media as usual before, or we should put some time limits, a kind of monitoring attitude on this digital media consumption. So there should be a kind of distinction to be made, both by parents and the teachers and all the other stakeholders of education system should also make a kind of decision to, in the policy making level, at the policy making level. So this is all I would like to share with you. If you have any further questions concerning this newly coined concept, a rapprochement with e-learning after the COVID break, after the COVID pandemic, I would like to try, I will try to answer your questions if you have any. I would be happy to answer your questions. Yes,
I would like to add something actually.
we would be delightful.
Thank you very much for your presentation. You said that parents and teachers and other stakeholders should reassess how students access and use technologies. Am I right?
Sure.
So, and you said that there should be a kind of monitoring system, which should be applied or used by these stakeholders. But I think on part of students, we should give them some self-discipline or self-monitoring skills. Even though we try to control how students use time during their interaction with technologies, they should also, I think, some kind of maturity or readiness to decide on how much time to use which kind of media. I think we should look at this issue from two different points. On part of the teachers and parents, there are some responsibilities to consider. And on the part of students, I think we should try to do some different things to give the student, as I said, some competencies or skills to self-control, self-monitor during the interaction with technology.
Everything is possible, but what we are trying to say, what we are trying to put forth is that that is a problem.
Right.
And all the parties rated with this issue should take some initiative, either time restrictions or self-monitoring or whatever it is. But pandemic has given us an extra problem like this one. That's what we are trying to draw attention to.